Good morning, YouTube. This is Charles getting back to you. We're going to try to get back on the 300 projects. We have not done anything since the last videos. Life has been too busy, and business has been good. It's just taken all our time. We're here in the middle of January now, trying to do some slow down and see if we can do some of this. I really would like to be cutting wheat with this in July, but I got a long way to go, so I can't guarantee I'll make it, but we're going to do some work. Not going to make any promises. My main goal, I think I would like to do, is get this out of the shop. I don't know that there's a lot of stuff we need on it, but I'm going to disassemble it and probably bring you along for that. Our goal today is to get this tire off and get it setting down on these A-frames. There's a steering motor in there, and mine over on the good machine leaks terribly. Even just sitting there, it leaks. It's leaked a lot of oil since we filled up the reservoir way back on the videos, probably 2 years ago. It's leaked a lot of oil right down there where that broom is. Over time, I keep cleaning it up. So we'll get into that eventually. We're going to do brakes. I'm going to remove this axle. I don't know if we'll get to it today. We're just going to see how far we get. And I'm going to use it, cut it up, and make a stand to hold the final drives while we work on those. And since we have a machine that is identical, we might be able to just redo those final drives that are on this one and then just swap them out on the ones that are over there. We're not trying to keep it all original, and it still really would be original. We have a motor here we'll get out, and if there is things here that you have a 300 and you need, don't be afraid to reach out to me or William. We'll be glad to help you keep your machine running. And we're going to get started now. Enough of me rambling on. And we'll pick something and we'll get it off of here. So thanks for watching, and here we go. One quick note, this is Sage, King Solomon. He's around here somewhere. King Solomon's mother. These have been the longest living cats we've had on the farm. And we also got pups over there. We think she's a mini pin. She just wandered up to the farm and we gave her a permanent home many years ago. I think she's going on 8 or 9 years. And she recently jumped out of the gator, dislocated her hip. It would not go back in. And so the vet cut the ball socket off, pulled some muscles around. So she has 4 legs. She uses it sometimes and she doesn't. But that is a procedure the vet said. You can see how it moves out right there. And she is just great. And this is Pups, and she's going to be out here with us today. We got our forklift in here, and our A-frame is back under there. And you'll see it better when we get the tire off. We're getting ready to remove the tire. It is a 1/1/16 inch on the lug nuts. So we will start taking those off right now. On a guy, but I think this has been on there quite a while. That's good. Yeah. So we have the tire off. Timothy helped me let the Massey down so we could get that off. And now we're going to get it set on the A-frames. We are now going to remove the variable speed cylinder drive belt, and we will attempt this combine's been setting. We've cleaned these threads right back there. See them there? That has to screw out and pull this side out. That will loosen your belt and help take tension off of it. Now, it is very important to make sure, that's like a wrench back there, to make sure that the handle of the wrench is in this slot when you put it back together along the hopper, or else it won't do any adjustment for you. And then we will get into the spring can and all of that. Now you will see the threads are gone. They're screwed back in there, and your belt is extremely loose. And if the combine's been setting, it'll be filled with dirt in there. Now this one is extremely stretched. You will not normally be able to do that. Plus, this has probably had water setting in it right down there. And this will make sure that the spring can is under tension. It must be safe when you take that off. This would normally be squeezing together from the spring tension, and the dogs here it'd be sliding on. So that is one way of doing it, but you always have to have this screwed open as far as you can get it. I wanted to go over the belt here that we just took off. It is a part number 832873M1, and that is a good Massey number. I checked it right here in my book, part number 14 on the diagram, 382873M1, 873M1. More than likely, if you pick up one of these combines, this belt will be stretched. It'll still run, but you won't be able to achieve all cylinder speeds that you would like to, especially when you have to go speed it up for wheat or rye or barley. It will be stretched. Corn and beans, usually even a stretched one will get you in the zone of RPMs for the cylinder. But I always make it a policy, if I'm ever working on a combine or I buy one, I just change it out and get all my speeds back. And I always buy a Massey belt for this. I've never bought an aftermarket belt because this thing is under a lot of heat, stress, and a lot of use. Basically, it's the main thrashing mechanism for your machine, so it's worth the investment to buy the Massey belt, in my opinion. Now you will see that I cranked it all the way back out, and you can see the threads again, and it closed up. Now, something very interesting. Never ran this combine or anything. This here, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's loose on the shaft. Clean this off. This would normally be double nutted so that you can keep it tight. Now, it says it in the shop service manual that when you're messing with these and you're going to take them apart, clean them up, get them going on your machine, you need to make a mark on it, doesn't matter where, and a mark on the back one so that you know where they lined up, because you will see they've been balanced. So I normally just use a magic marker, but this could set or even eventually get scrapped. I'm going to make 2 lines with a grinder right there on the edge. Won't hurt anything, but then they'll always have a witness mark of where they're going to go back together. You will see I did that now. A little indentation is not going to hurt it. It's kind of just like a timing mark. Same goes for here when a guy gets down to this one. This is a 1.1 nut. And as I was saying, this should have been double nutted. They either didn't put it on or it came off. There'll be a thicker washer back there. Plenty of grease here, so that's nice. This is already moving on the shaft. I will try and get you in here so you can hear this. You can hear the two pulleys separate from each other. You can hear the key moving when you slide it here. The key is right here. So it is loose in the keyways because this wasn't tight. I will attempt this. Take this off. Oh yeah, that's heavy. Now you can see that I screwed that all the way out so that it wouldn't be attached to this sprocket here. And that is the wrench I was talking about. Here's the shaft, and over here is the keyway. Now it doesn't have as much wear as I thought it would be. I don't know if you can see it. There is a little bit of step there, and you can just barely feel it. Now it would run a long time, but you want to keep that tight. And I don't know if it'll focus, if you can see that or not. So anyway, this is the part I was talking about. That will come off of there. But this is like a big wrench, and that's what that's threaded into. And then this will also separate itself from the two pieces. This is really just an informative video because we're not going to be putting this machine back together. This is also very common. It's hidden back here. See how these are, this is on the beater shaft, and this runs a chain all the way down to your table elevator, to the big sprocket here. Replace this many times. It's almost always a given that you are going to be replacing that on any used machine you find, because that's what happens to it. Very high wear sprocket. I've replaced many of them. They're still available from Massey. We'll get to that eventually. Okay, we are now onto the spring can, and I've loosened it up some. I've got the nut out here, as you can see to the edge. I took the double nut off. It did have the double nut. Now it's under tension, so you have to be extremely careful. We have moved a 1/2 inch. You can see where the grease is coming out. And so this is dangerous. You never stand in front of this. I'm not going to sit here freaking out about it, but if this is shot and the spring can is not holding this in place, it is going to shoot out across the shop. We don't want to hit our good machine, and so we're going to get some pallets and stack them up in here. Now our hope is that the spring can is not wore and it's still attached, and it's just going to stay together, and it'll be about the size of a coffee can. Worst case scenario, it's going to fly apart. I've got the forklift here and a pallet. Hopefully it'll just break the boards on the pallet. And so that is what we're going to attempt right now. Want the wrench to be able to fly out of your hand. Coming right along. You're not in front of it. You can see it's still growing out. Okay, I'm giving this the respect it deserves. I do not know the history of this combine. The nut should just fall off. I'm going to stand back and unscrew it at a safe distance by just pulling on this strap. Okay, the spring can held, so you can't be too too safe with this, and I'm still not going to get in front of it, because you will see now this is the spring can. That spring is under tension in there, and you better respect it. Luckily, everything is intact. This thing could do some serious damage. I wanted to let you know what I did. I do this when I store them for an amount of time because I don't know when I'll ever need this. I just kind of put these wires on loosely. If it were to release, they would tighten up. You'd kind of know it. Plus I have kids walking around here, my children. I'm not saying this thing's going to go off. It's probably just fine, but I'm being safe because it doesn't only affect me if something were to happen. So there's a lot of stored energy in that spring. I just can't stress that enough. But I've heard stories from old timers how this metal will wear in here, and then they're taking that off and it releases. And so just being on the safe side, I want you guys to be on the safe side, and we're going to get on to other things after lunch. We're back from lunch. This is a thrust washer that goes on like that, the smaller lip to the inside, and then when the spring can was compressed, you had this on here, and the flat washer, and the double nuts, make sure it's double nutted, and that then would have been running with this at full speed. So that is the way that goes. Wanted to show you a good thrust washer, or a thrust bearing right there. Is ready to slide off. It's heavy, but not as heavy as the last one. And it'll be greasy. Now this would normally come apart because your belt will travel in here, but this is rusted. Very common. You find one of these sitting in the shed, this gets rusted up. You got to take everything apart, get it all cleaned back up, and get it moving, because that's how you create your variable speed. By this one up here, up at the top, it's threaded, and this one's spring loaded. Here we go. That's pretty heavy too. Behind it is a spacer, just like a round piece of pipe spacer that goes between there and the back of the pulley. That's right in there to keep that out flush with this edge. I want to talk to you guys about something that I've had to do to several of the 300s as they get older, and that is I have had the big pulley that was here with the belt that goes all the way up to the top shaft is under tremendous amount of stress. So I have had to, in the past, see that thing when you get in here by the tire, it's kind of canted. The pulley would be canted in. And how I resolved this, because I seen another one had done it, another farmer, I weld two pieces of steel. First I get a turnbuckle. Now this one's too big, but this will give you the idea. I get a turnbuckle with eyes on it, and I weld two pieces of steel down here on the frame, and then drill a hole into here, right into here, right down here, and mount this in there at an angle. Gives it a 45-degree angle support, and being a turnbuckle, you can tweak it. You need nuts on here, but you can turn it and pull that back down straight. The tension is so strong over the 40-50 years, starts to change it in here. It doesn't actually, you can't really see it bent, but it will be out of alignment. And the turnbuckle fix, what I seen on one I bought years ago, is an awesome solution to keeping this held straight. We are now ready to remove this whole casting. This is cast iron, and there's bearings that are retained inside here behind the big pulley with snap rings. You can see that this sprocket was needing changed on this machine, the teeth are leaning over. So if you're going to have to do that, you might as well replace the bearings while you're in there. This has 2 bolts here. It has 1 bolt, another one there. So that's 4, 5 right in there, and 6 right back in there. So also there is 2 bolts just like this in the frame, and this is such a tight fit so that they could keep it, because of the amount of tension it's under, you have to remove these 2 bolts from the frame, and this stop bolt, this fan speed adjustment pulley mechanism is in this casting, and there's a bolt that holds it in so it don't come out in the frame also. So this now is ready to remove. It's only 6 bolts, and then these 2, 7, 8, and 9, and they're only 5/16. That's why sometimes you have to put in this meat here, drill a hole down to there and put a turnbuckle so you can keep this from canting. The amount of torque and tension on this is tremendous, because you not only come from the belt there, comes down through here, it's variable speed, this chain goes up to the cylinder. So can you imagine when you slug the machine how much torque is being put on 6 5/16 bolts? We'll now work up here on the top shaft. This is the beater shaft. You got your beater behind the cylinder, which is down here. The cylinder is there. We're going to get to this sprocket in a minute, but we'll do a little work up here and see how much more of this that we can get disassembled. I was able to get this off of the bearing. That's just pressed on there. It's a press fit, but there's no snap ring. By prying and gently tapping with this hammer here, right here, we were able to get that off. You will see that it's full of grease. We still got the bearing is press fit on there. Usually you make a sleeve and gently tap it back on when you're putting that on. Then this pulley here goes down to your fan mechanism, and then you have the sprocket behind it. So we will work on stripping all of this off as we progress on the disassembly. Well, we did have some good luck. We were able to reposition and grab the threads and then get it on there. It's a really close fit, but I do believe we have it moving. And there we go. So we had some great success there. We were able just to catch it. Luckily it wasn't on too tight. And the bearing came off with it. That's in the posi lock. That's what it looks like on the back side. When you get a new one, you take these bolts out, you get a new sprocket. So we're in business. We're down to the beater shaft bearing there, but that'll be for another day. I think somebody might have been in here before. That bearing says Poland on it. I don't know if it was made in Poland, but it has a number of a 6208 RS, Romeo Sierra, and it is a good bearing still. Now this was the bearing that was right here in the back of the sprocketed threaded adjustment that you adjust from the cab, number 28 in the thing, and number 28 is 833059M1. King Solomon has made his presence today. He's been going through the shop. He's got dirt on his face. He doesn't want to look at us, and he's out here enjoying the day with us. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about is the sprocket that is on the cylinder. You have your rear beater back there, that where we were working. We got the whole mechanism off down there today. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is this sprocket. When you have this big sprocket on, this is for corn and soybeans. Now when you are running the double sprocket for corn and soybeans, the bigger sprocket, you will have approximately a 4 to 6 inch expansion section of the double chain. So there'll be 2 master links. I've already taken this apart. This chain is pretty stiff, but I will take this apart right here, keeping this master link and this piece and wiring it to this sprocket, because when you're running the smaller sprocket, which I'll show you next, you have to take this out so that you can get your adjustment right here on the idler sprocket. This would have been down there in that casting that we took off earlier, and up and over this and around here. So you always want to retrieve your 5 to 6 inch, 4 inch to 6 inch piece of chain, because you will not be able, even if you run that all the way up to there, get the chain tight. So that's what that is there for. This is the smaller sprocket, double sprocket back here, that is for when you're running wheat. This allows you to get up to 1,000 RPM on your cylinder right here. And then with that piece out of your chain, that allows you to take up the slack. You will not be able to take up the slack if you leave that in there. This is for your slugging wrench. If you slug it, there's a wrench that goes on into these holes with a long piece of pipe. 1 1/8 nut. And then that comes off just like that. This will be splined, and this of course is stuck. We'll have to get it. Was on there quite hard, but we got it with the Posi Lock 108 fit on there, and it's moving now. You always want to put these on with never sees, because if you do wheat or cereal grains and corn and beans, you're going to be changing this. You can see it had a sleeve that was quite rusty back there, where the spline's in that goes over it. Timothy wanted you to see the wrench, if you're not familiar with it, but anybody that's ran one might be. That went in here with those teeth into those holes. That is splined onto the shaft, and then you can turn it as such. We had a good day today. Had some interruptions, had to go unload a semi, different things. We got this sounds a little dry, a good idler sprocket. Same here. These two here have a spacer between them, and we'll take those off. I am needing to get this out of the way, get it out of the shop. We don't have to heat it up when we run the heaters, things like that. But also it's giving me practice so we don't damage anything on the combine that we are restoring, and giving me alternative parts if needed. Next time maybe we will tackle these bearings here. I've pulled these before. They can come easy. I never ever had to replace a beater bearing on any of them that I ran. Don't know if they needed it or I just never had that problem. But we're going to take this out and salvage this shaft just in case we need it. Thank you for watching. We're going to continue just to dismantle right now as we prepare to get more space in the shop and get back on the one that we're wanting to keep. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.